Hi, everyone. My name is Brianna. I'm the Orientation and Mobility Specialist at our Braille Institute in Santa Barbara. And today's webinar is all about the WeWalk. We have a very special guest coming in from London. His name is Jean-Marc, and he will be facilitating today's webinar with me. So we're really happy to have you here. And just so everyone knows, we will try to stay muted during the webinar, and we'll have time to ask questions and kind of share experiences, and we'll make sure that we have time for that, and that at that time you can unmute or press *6 if you're on a landline, and just being mindful of your microphone so we don't create any background noise. And when you do ask a question, please introduce yourself by your first name before you speak, and just be mindful of how often you're asking questions so we have time for everyone to ask when we have time for that. So again, I want to welcome Jean-Marc, and I will go ahead and let him share his screen and introduce himself to everyone today. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks for that, Brianna. It really is fantastic to be here, and to everyone else at the Braille Institute, and to also get to meet your community and tell you more about some of the things that we have been doing over at WeWalk. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully you will see. Actually, can you all see that? Let me double check.
Not yet. I can let you know.
How about this?
Yes, we see the WeWalk.
Lovely. Okay, and to everyone watching, so I'm visually impaired myself as well, so I shall be talking through an audio describing all my slides anyway, though if anyone wants any visual reference, then we have our slides up for later. So in today's presentation, I'm just going to jump in and talk about what we're doing at WeWalk, our company vision, and a very quick overview of what we're working on. And then I'm going to dive into our WeWalk app, show everyone how to use it. I mean, it is a free app, so we'd love it for everyone to really get out there and feel independent. And also about how that app complements the WeWalk experience that we've been working hard on. So I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say this, so I'm going to skip the beginning few bits, but just to say that at the WeWalk team, we really are a team driven by our community. And we're also a team driven by our own visually impaired colleagues, so myself, our co-founder, and a lot of our customer support team have lived experiences in visual impairment. And so we designed the tools for the community, by the community. And we have a very simple, though possibly quite ambitious company mission, which is we want to leverage AI and cutting-edge technology to give our visually impaired community better access to tools and tech to improve their mobility and to get them where they want to go, to get our society to better integrate with today's urban spaces. And one of the ways which we're doing that, well, the main way we're currently do that, is through WeWalk. And the idea behind WeWalk is we wanted to use the white cane, which we all know and love, as the fundamental base for everything. So we still recommend O&M training with WeWalk. It's just a simple handle that replaces the rubber handle on your standard cane. So we've just chopped it off. We provide an adapter in the box. Well, actually, we provide an extra cane in the box even, but an adapter for you to use your own cane as well. And it's just replacing the handle. So all your O&M techniques, all your, the handshake method of holding and constant contact and all that are all the basis for WeWalk. And WeWalk is just, think of it as this little controller that gives you better access to your phone and the WeWalk app, as well as our obstacle detection sensor. Again, when I jump into the more in-depth induction, I shall talk through the actual WeWalk features and show you a device which we've prepared earlier. And the really cool part about WeWalk is, from the get-go, is we build on what you guys want. So a lot of our, features and a lot of our changes have come through induction sessions just like this, where people have, tried the app for the first time and said to us, well, this works well, this doesn't work so well. Let's fix it together. And we're really totally open to that. So, in today's Q&A afterwards, or even when I'm talking through the app, we'd love any of your immediate insights and your first impressions, because we can do a lot with them. Now, hopefully everyone listening would have heard of, or at least tried downloading, our WeWalk app. And on screen, I have a picture of our app with our low vision mapping, as well as of our preference screen. So a lot of what we do in the app itself also tries to be as inclusive as possible. So we have low vision settings with different color filters, to allow those with low vision to still make access, and we're totally voiceover and talkback compatible, of course. But we're also very flexible with our options in the app. So we want our users to choose how navigation alerts them of a destination, or how often they'd like to be notified of a location in our exploration mode. And it's really when you combine WeWalk and our smartphone app that we feel that we've created something special and something that we truly hope will help our own community. So when paired, and even with the WeWalk app on itself, we've designed our entire navigation system from the ground up with clock directions and as the crow flies tracking, as well as low vision mapping, totally customizable interfaces, our own nearby stops and nearby places feature, which allow you to access public transport and find out about bus timetables, as well as a new way of interacting with our system, which is through our voice assistant. Still in beta, but we're definitely making a lot of cool headway with that, and we'd love to know your thoughts on that once we dive in. And at WeWalk, we have this long-term goal to make the WeWalk Smart Cane the personal hub for a visually impaired community. A device that you just pick up, you don't really think about it, it's just there, attached to your cane, and when you need it, it's right there. With smart city integration, the capacity for image recognition, which, we're not doing that yet, but we really do hope in the future that we can put in some cameras into WeWalk, make it even cooler, and continuously working on our new input methods like our voice assistant. And one of the reasons why I am super excited to be here and have been given this opportunity is because our organizations and our collaborative partners really do make a massive difference on WeWalk's feature set. So we've been working with Microsoft, for instance, since February of 2019. We were very lucky to be part of their Microsoft AI for Good cohort, where we discovered that we can use WeWalk's built-in sensors, we have a gyroscope and compass built into it, to actually help our users track their mobility, looking at things like their preferred and percentage preferred walking speeds, the arc lengths of their canes, how much time they're spending outdoors, and feeding this data back to mobility trainers. And that would be super cool to obviously have this, first of its kind, if you'd like, Fitbit for visually impaired people, except on a cane. And that all came through our partnership with them and their support of us and us just being able to throw ideas to each other. So we're totally open to that. We're also working with Microsoft and our voice assistant on our Azure-powered new interface that will hopefully allow our users to better access our technology. We also have another exciting project coming up for the next 18 months. Again, this is not into WeWalk yet, but we've been funded. We've just kicked off the project as well by Innovate UK. It's an 18-month project with Imperial College London, the Royal National Institute for the Blind, with support from organizations like AstraTerra, who are really champions in positioning, to actually make WeWalk an indoor-capable device. I mean, right now we work great outdoors, we use GPS, and that's fine, but we really want WeWalk to be this all-in-all device that you pick up, you walk outside, go into a mall, and you just know where the shop is. And we hope to bring that in the next 18 months. So again, really, really excited to share that all with you. And we've been quite humbled. We've been lucky to have been selected for a few awards, receiving the Time Best Invention of 2019, as well as the Edison Gold Award, and being selected in the Health and Wellness category at CES last year. So it's been a great journey for us, and a lot of it really is thanks to our users. We really do mean that when we say it, because everyone's been so supportive, and it's nice that everyone seems to understand what we're trying to achieve and to help us on our journey. So actually, every user that purchases a WeWalk from us, and even our app users, can reach us and our team. We are still a relatively small team, so word gets around pretty quickly. And we actually do this induction to every one of our users. So if you do end up deciding to purchase a WeWalk, or if you're curious to learn more, we would actually run through this induction with you on an individual to individual basis. And of course, I'll do my best on this occasion to answer everyone's questions and to really dive into WeWalk. But please don't hesitate to reach out to us afterwards, and we will literally just run through the session with you. And if you do end up deciding to get a WeWalk, well, hey, we can make sure you're happy with it, and we can make it work for you really, and see what's great and what's not so great, and work around that. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, which is easier said than done, but here we go. Hopefully that stopped sharing on my end. And I'm going to dive into the actual WeWalk hardware first. Then I'm going to jump into the mobile app, and to those that would like to follow along, that would be amazing. And then to show you how they both work together with our touchpad and everything. So, Brianna, am I clearly on the screen? And
Yes.
is my WeWalk lovely? Okay, so this is the WeWalk handle. This, as I mentioned, replaces the standard rubber handle of your cane. We actually provide an Ambutech graphite cane in the box. So totally standard cane. You can even change out your tips to bigger marshmallow and long-lasting tips. So totally flexible. We can even provide different length sizes. We provide a little metal adapter that basically just ties into the string that holds down your rubber handle, and you just screw on the WeWalk, so it becomes the new handle. It feels ever so slightly different to your standard rubber cane because it's not perfectly cylindrical. So I'll describe the shape. It's a bit of a conical shape. It gets thinner towards the very top where you have your wrist strap attachment and charging port, and it gets thicker and girthier towards the bottom end where it attaches to the cane's shaft. At the very front of WeWalk, we have the ultrasonic sensor. It's a little indented hole basically that puts out the ultrasonic waves, which we use for obstacle detection. Right above that, we have our touchpad, which is what you would use WeWalk to control your phone with our gesture-based interfaces. And then right above that, we have our tactile buttons, where your thumb rests to let you know of upcoming obstacles. The whole WeWalk vibrates, but it's most sensitive up here, so you can distinguish between ground feel and the feel from the vibration motors. Above that, as we move towards the thinner part of WeWalk, the part which is closest to you, that you grip, this is a rubber sheath, quite a durable rubber sheath, where your palm basically rests as you would with a handshake method, although slightly modified because your thumb, instead of wrapping around the cane, would actually remain upwards and on the tactile button. So a pretty natural grip. And of course, we can work on our users with different cane sizes to make sure that the fit is great. It charges with micro USB at the very top, so you could use any chargers that you have at home, or you could plug it into your computer. So pretty flexible there with power banks. And the battery life is about 6 hours of continuous use. So that's with obstacle detection turned on, the touchpad being used at all times. So for a light user such as myself, I use WeWalk at night since I have LCA, so night blindness. It can last about 2 to 3 weeks, but for power users that use it every day from morning to evening, we'd say a few days to a week. So you should be covered. So actually, I'll quickly pause there before I jump into the mobile app side to ask if anyone has any questions on the actual specific hardware or the attachment, or if you'd like me to go over anything again, if you didn't catch something which I might have said.
Hi, yeah, great presentation so far. This is Chris, by the way.
Hi.
I know the black tip is like a rubbery. What when we grip this one, what does the grip feel like? More is it hard plastic? Is that or because I can somewhat see you holding it up and it's white and it's thinner and a little thicker at the bottom, but I just wondering what the grip feels like.
So it's actually a rubber sheath. It's not as squidgy, if you'd like, as a standard black cane, but the actual part is hard plastic, which hopefully you could hear that. And the actual bottom part it's like a very sort of ribbed, soft rubber. It's not as soft, again, not as squidgy as a standard handle, but it should be quite similar. Again, the real difference that you'd notice wouldn't be the material, but rather just the ever so slightly different shape, because we've had to cram some components into there, basically.
Sure.
But yeah, it should be quite familiar.
Okay, and then here's a big question. What is the cost?
So right now in the US, we're selling them for $600. So we have tried to be as obviously cost effective as possible, given that we want to make sure we get our cane into the hands of our community. We also work with organizations such as the Braille Institute, and we can take this offline, of course, where we discuss ways in which we can work together and hopefully get the cane into the hands of our consumers, basically. So if you don't want to buy it independently, we're always open to working with local council, local government, and even local organizations to try to make sure that WeWalk is as accessible as possible.
Okay, yeah, because it sounds really, really neat. So, and like I said, I already downloaded the app, so I'm ready for that next step.
Nice, thanks, sir. So no, we really appreciate the enthusiasm. That's great, and I appreciate the questions as well.
Okay, thanks.
Alrighty, so I guess Is there anyone else? If not, I'll hop on. Oh, okay. So jumping into the WeWalk app, and I'll actually boot it up so we can both run it at the same time. So once you first download the app, you'll be asked to sign in. You don't have to do that. If you prefer to just get straight into it, you could, but sign in helps, well, create a cloud account where you can actually save your location. So if you have any other devices, you can actually get a list of all your saved locations, all your preferences carry over. So totally optional, but. And also you can set up your low vision preferences. Again, pretty self-explanatory. We present 3 boxes at the top for black text on a white background, yellow text on a black background, or white text on a black background, as well as a text size. Once that is all done, you'll basically be fired right into our WeWalk home screen. And I'll go slow on this one and talk through every element of it. So I shall go through this right now. I presume that a lot of the users on board here don't have a WeWalk, so I shall run through the app with WeWalk disconnected, and then talk through how the app changes once WeWalk is actually connected. So WeWalk has 5 tabs at the very bottom of the screen. These tabs are the home screen, the preferences screen, the voice assistant screen, which is a small microphone, the tutorial and support page, which gives you access to our user guides, and then the profile tab at the very bottom right of the screen, where you can log in and change some of your profile-based preferences. Now, on the home screen, if you were to tap on the bottom left of the screen to open the home page tab, at the very top of the screen is our current location feature. So this will give you your current location, your street address, and your postcode. And ever so slightly to the right of that, you will also get an announcement of how accurate that location is based on your GPS signal. So +40, +30, +5 meters, or sometimes it could be completely accurate. It depends on where you're based, really. And right next to that, to the very right, so we're at the top right of the screen now, we have a little share button, the standard share button you would find on sort of other apps within your phone. And if you were to tap that, you can actually share your location with colleagues and those nearby. We're always growing this feature. So previously you had to download the WeWalk app to be able to share between each other, but we're definitely opening that up now. So you can share it with colleagues on WhatsApp, for instance, even dial in Uber. So we're continuously improving that thanks to our user feedback. Right below that, so sort of towards the middle of the screen right now without scrolling, is our Activate Exploration Mode toggle. So for those of you that have used apps like Lazarillo, for instance, this is the equivalent of the play pause button for exploration. So once you toggle that on or off, if it's off, nothing happens. If it's on, locations which are around you will be read out, their distance and their clock direction. For instance, Starbucks at 9 o'clock in 150 meters. Again, we pull destinations based on how dense they are around you. So we do some mathematical jiggery to make sure that we don't over inundate you with like all the destinations, but not too little at the same time. So it really is about just playing around and trying it and seeing what locations get picked up. And I'll dive into our exploration mode in a bit more depth towards the middle of the app induction. Right below that is the Connect WeWalk button. So if you had a WeWalk around, you would simply tap that and your WeWalk would connect. It's a very simple Bluetooth connection. So all you need to do is turn on your WeWalk, turn on your app, click Connect WeWalk. And then once it's connected, even if you turn off your WeWalk and turn it back on, it'll automatically connect again. So it's one of those experiences where we sort of want you to just download it, turn it on, forget about it, put it in your pocket. If it disconnects, it does, and it'll probably connect again, if it's usually quite quick. Below that, to our app users, you will have the Nearby Stops button. This is one of my favorite features, actually. Here in London, we have buses absolutely everywhere, and Google Maps isn't that accessible. I mean, it's getting better. So with our Nearby Stops feature, if you're on VoiceOver, it's a double tap to enter each of these menu items as per usual, and scrolling is as you would. But if you're not using VoiceOver and are just using our low vision interface, you can just tap to enter. And here you will get, at the very top of the screen, you will get a horizontally scrolling list of the transport operators, so London buses or Network Rail for us here in the UK, so rail versus bus. Again, it'll change based on region. And once you tap or double tap one of these providers, you will see below that a list of all the stops operated by that transport operator. So for instance, for me, I would get London buses, and below that, all the stops which are nearby, as well as a distance away from me. Now, this currently does vary ever so slightly on iOS and Android. The iOS build will be catching up quite soon in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But on our Android side, and this should be quite similar to iOS, but not the exact same, you will have a bus icon, so you can actually check what next mode of transport is arriving. So it could be the bus in 5 minutes and the destination to which that bus is going. You can tap the arrow at the top left of the screen to exit that, to go back to the timetable. Right next to the bus icon is a small arrow which will navigate you to that stop. So it'll open up a navigation window and actually take you there if you're committed to going to that stop. Right next to that is a plus icon, so you can actually save the bus stop to your set of saved locations. So if it's a bus stop which you typically visit, you could tap that and you can go straight there. And then at the very right-hand edge of each of these boxes is a small target icon. And on VoiceOver, it'll read as track. And if you double tap or tap that, you'll actually start tracking that bus stop, which gives you your clock direction and total distance away from the stop. So for instance, if I'm rambling around and I'm curious to know where my bus stop is, but I don't want to go straight to it, but I just want to keep an idea as to where it is so I can get back to it in case I want to get back on my bus, I would simply tap that track button, and I will always have that option to basically always know where it is in my vicinity. Right below the nearby stops option is our navigation. And this is something which I'm super excited about, something which, again, I've used this to get me out of a pickle quite a few times. Simply by tapping navigation, and by the way, we're back at the home screen. I know I jumped over that too quickly. I'm so sorry. It's just, again, tapping the back button once you're done with nearby stops at the top left-hand side. Navigation is just below the nearby stops. So double tap to enter, or tap to enter, and you'll be presented with a search box at the very top of the screen. And in the search box, as you would with any other mapping application, you would type in your desired destination. It could be a business name, it could be a postcode or a street address, and we should hopefully pull it up. And if you don't want to search for an address, or if you already have searched for an address, right below that is a list of your current saved locations. So for instance, I've got home and my workplace saved, and you can save as many places as you'd like. So you can quickly navigate to your saved locations just by tapping on a spot. Once you find the destination you want, or once you click on a saved location, you can then initiate our navigation to it. And our navigation works in a pretty interesting way. We've tried to look at all the apps out there, and we've essentially made what we feel is the sort of combination of what we've loved the most. And again, we're totally open to hearing your thoughts on this, and we'd love to hear your journeys. But if you tap an icon at the very top of the screen, once navigation starts, you will get the destination and its full address. You can make sure you're going in the right direction. Right below that, you will get your bird's eye tracking. So this is the as the crow flies clock direction and total distance to your destination. And with clock directions, it's all relative to you. So 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock is south, and then east to west is 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock respectively. So you'll always know where your destination is, even if you're walking in a park. You'll also get a percentage completion. So if that goes up, you know that you're making some positive progress towards your destination. Right below the bird's eye tracking, we have two subsets of navigational instructions. The first navigational instruction tells you how far you have to walk on the road that you are currently on. So ignoring any turning points, it would be, for instance, oops, sorry, that's just my WeWalk going into sleep mode. If you don't touch it for a while, it just sort of saves battery. So that's what that sound was. But yes, so that first instruction that you'll see will tell you walk down St. John's Road for 150 meters, for instance. The point below that will then tell you how far you are away from the next turning point. So in 150 meters, turn at 3 o'clock onto Queensway, for instance. So we've separated the turning instruction and the current heading instruction. So you'll have two sets of clock directions. Number one, the how you must head down the street that you're currently on. So if it says 12 o'clock, then head straight down the street. Then we provide a second clock direction for the second instruction, telling you how sharp the turn must be relative to how you're walking down the street. And again, we'd love to get your thoughts on this. Now, right next to the top of the screen for our low vision, there is a button to actually engage low vision mapping. So all the previous color settings and text sizes will translate to that map. And even to our users that are almost completely blind, we have seen that you can still kind of make out the shape of the route, which again is super useful in a pickle. I know for myself, making out the general route shape has been really useful to giving me a quick glance at where I should be going. At the bottom of the navigation page are three icons. One to save location. It's like at the bottom left. Right in the middle of that is the refresh navigation button. So if you feel like you're heading down the wrong route and you just quickly want to refresh, start over to that same destination, just tap that and the whole thing will refresh. And then there's also an X button to just stop navigation basically and to return to your home screen. Below our navigation button on the home screen, so we're back at the home screen now, is our What's Around Me feature. And by the way, what I'll do now is I'll quickly pause because I know that I have been moving, I'd say quite quickly. Usually for individual users, we would go through each feature and actually do a test run. But I will pause quickly now before jumping on to our exploration features. If there are any questions or if there's anything that you'd like me to revisit.
Hi, my name's Christine. Does this app work verbally at all?
It does indeed. So once you have your, so if you start navigation, it'll read out to you everything that I just said on the screen. So if you have voiceover on, your voiceover will take over. If voiceover is disabled, then we have our own engine that'll read out to you and say to you, you're currently heading at 10 o'clock in 20 meters, turn left and turn right based on that. So it'll read out everything that's on the screen for you. And obviously, if you don't want to hear that, yeah.
Will it take verbal commands from me? Like,
yes.
Hey, where's my closest Starbucks?
It does. So
look it up?
Yep, so it does actually. So we have our voice assistant, which I'm just about to cover. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but it does indeed. It's something which we're, again, constantly working on and constantly building. You can ask it to search for your nearest Starbucks and even to connect your WeWalk. And that's always changing. So it's something we'd say just play around with because day by day, it literally just keeps getting smarter. It does things that I even don't realize sometimes, which is pretty cool.
Then one other question.
Go for it.
Does it update? Like, you have to update your iPhones all the time. Anytime there's updates, does it update, or do you have to buy a new one when a new update comes out?
So it's through the App Store. So everything that we do with WeWalk is powered through the WeWalk app, which is free to download, and that'll be free updates. So once you have one WeWalk device, you will keep getting the new features. Now, obviously down the line, we will be looking to make hardware changes and improvements. For instance, we have a WeWalk Special Edition, which has just come out, which has slightly upgraded audio, a slightly more durable construction. Well, actually, all our WeWalks are now special editions. So obviously those changes are like, you gotta get a new WeWalk, but everything else, like all the software features, the new navigation, the new voice assistant, we've committed to making sure that if you've got a WeWalk right now, it's gonna be supported. It's gonna be updated. It's all under one app. So all our WeWalks connected as one app really. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's my pleasure. And thanks for the question.
This is Chris again. So
hey, Chris.
To work the app is really neat now that you showed me what those things mean. That's awesome. But to work the app, I have to have the handle on my cane.
So here's another really cool bit. I know I say that a lot, but I promise you, it's one of these things that we really do love. You can do all of this without the handle of the cane. So everything that I've just done now was literally with the cane disconnect and just accessing it from my app. And when I get onto the cane and sort of how we control it, and I'll give a teaser to this. Everything that the cane is doing on the touchpad is just simulating what you're doing with your fingers on your screen. So we built it so, if you have your WeWalk cane and you don't want to pull out your phone and search for destinations, you would just turn off your phone, put it in your pocket, then use the WeWalk swipe gestures like left and right, and it'll read out to you what you're on, obviously, as you're walking. It'll tell you navigation, nearby stops. You can then double tap the touchpad on WeWalk. Oops, sorry, I've just woken it up again by grabbing it. And you can then double tap and swipe, and you can swipe between everything I just talked about. So if you have a couple of saved locations, you would double tap WeWalk's touchpad. It'll say navigation. You can swipe left, right for obstacle detection, sound level, and all that. Say you want navigation, double tap again. you can then swipe left or right on your WeWalk Smart Cane to quickly navigate to a saved location without having to take out your phone, for instance. So that's how the handle works. It's a controller for the app to make it just a little bit easier when you're out and about.
Now, can you hear it through? Now, where do you hear it through if you're outside and there's noise and stuff? Through your phone or the cane?
So that's a good question. It's completely up to you. So if you have the WeWalk completely disconnected and you're not using WeWalk, it'll come out of your phone. And if you have a headset plugged into your phone, it'll come out of your headset. If you have WeWalk connected, it'll come out of the WeWalk Smart Cane speaker. But you're right, outside it does get quite loud. So you can connect either by Bluetooth or by a wired connection to your phone or by dongle or whatever, how you would typically connect your Bluetooth headset to your phone or wired headset. Everything that was going to the WeWalk will then go to your Bluetooth headset. And you can still control everything with the WeWalk's touchpad. So totally flexible. If it's too loud, you can use your headset. If you want to use your WeWalk, you can use your WeWalk. And if you don't want to use your WeWalk and just use your phone speaker, you can do that as well.
So just use one earplug because you still want to hear sounds around you.
Exactly. So we recommend that as well. So if you have Apple AirPods or anything whatsoever, having just one ear in, everything that WeWalk puts out is in mono anyway, so you don't need to have two earbuds in. You can even use bone conducting headphones. Totally flexible.
Okay. That was my, wow. Yeah, okay.
I'm glad, yeah, that you're happy with that. Alrighty. So are there any more on questions so far? If not, I will jump into the next part. Alrighty, I guess I will jump into our exploration mode. So this is actually currently called What's Around Me on the WeWalk app, though we will be merging this and just calling it exploration. So that activate exploration mode button, which I talked about earlier, that'll just be our new exploration feature. It'll just be one big feature. If you tap What's Around Me, you will see at the top, just like our nearby stops, a horizontally scrolling list of different categories. So food, shopping, art and entertainment. I'm actually going to turn off my WeWalk now. I keep picking it up and moving it, which is it's keen. Anyway, so tapping on any one of those categories will then bring up a list of nearby places with those categories. So a restaurant, for instance, it'll give you its distance away from you. And then you have an option to save that location to your list of saved locations under navigation. Or there's a little triple icon that you can tap to either navigate to that location, again, opening the exact same navigation interface that I just talked through. So our entire app runs on this centralized navigational screen, basically. Or you can even have the option to order an Uber. And again, we're rolling this out. So some of you might see the Uber feature, some might not. It's gradually being rolled out, but that's another one of our integrations in how we're growing with WeWalk. And again, it's a simple case of scrolling through the list, finding what you want and getting there. And last but not least is the Save Current Location button. So if you're somewhere cool or if you'd like to add it to your saved location, this is back on the home screen, by the way, so we've jumped back again. Right below the What's Around Me button, soon to be called Exploration, there is the Save Current Location button. You will just quickly, basically, as it's self-explanatory, save your location so you can navigate to it in the future. Now I'm going to quickly dive into our preferences screen, which is the icon right next to the home screen button at the very bottom left of the screen. Now, for those of you that don't have a WeWalk and it's not connected, this is where you can really make WeWalk your own. So we realize that a few of our users, even within our own organization, we have different preferences for our navigation. You can set how often you get audio notifications. So the first thing you will have is direction repeat preferences. You can have every 15 seconds, 30 seconds, every minute, every 20 meters, 40 meters, completely up to you. And this is how often WeWalk talks to you and tells you, this is how you're heading, this is how you should turn. So that's flexible. You even have the option to turn on or off street names or to turn on or off clock directions. So if you're not a fan of the clock positioning system, we can go back to the old sort of turn left, turn slightly right, turn right, head back method. So totally flexible on that one. Right below that are your exploration mode preferences. So you can actually set how often you get notified of a destination. So if you're in a really packed urban street, you can set it to remind you every 75 meters. So you're not just basically bombarded with locations around you, or every 25 meters if you'd like to hear more of the places that are around you. You can even select your distance units between centimeters and inches. And you can set your visual preferences again. So if you realize that you might have misset a few settings, you can totally change that. And we even have a button below that to ask us a question. So within the app itself, you can find our support team, find our support site, and get in touch with us. Right next to that button is our voice assistant. Again, this is gradually being rolled out. This is one of our beta features. But if you tap the mic icon, it'll automatically enable the voice assistant for our mobile phone users. And you can ask it where the Starbucks is, or what's around you, or to enable or disable exploration. With WeWalk connected, you could do more, such as asking it to connect or disconnect WeWalk, turn on or off obstacle detection. Again, we'll jump into that later. But a plethora of stuff, and it's always growing. So the list on that screen, if you were to scroll down and listen to the list, we can actually tell you what we've added, what we've changed. And it's a natural assistant, so you don't have to say it exactly like it is. We've tried to sort of make it work slightly easier. Then on the tab to the very right of that icon, the voice icon, you can look at WeWalk's device sounds. So you can familiarize yourself, if you have a WeWalk, what each of the sound means. You can actually open our guide as well. And our guide has everything I've just described, basically. And we're also working on a new voice guide. So again, you'll probably hear a very familiar voice when you listen to that voice guide. But it'll be me talking through everything we've just talked through in a bit more depth, slightly more structured as well, instead of me just rambling on. But that's also super useful and something we'd recommend if you're ever in a pickle. It's not just for the WeWalk cane, but just for the whole app experience. And so now, just before I jump into the hardware and connecting WeWalk and the actual touchpad, I'll pause for some questions on anything I've just discussed, such as exploration and the preferences screen.
Hi, Jean-Marc, it's Brianna. I just wanted to mention how awesome it is that there are different languages that you can choose in the preferences.
Indeed.
I think I saw Spanish, Turkish, what else? Dutch?
Arabic. We have loads.
Wow.
We have like 13 and growing. So it's easy for us to usually, you know, if we have specific areas and specific demands, we can change the whole of WeWalk's language. So yeah, we're flexible. Thanks for pointing that out, Brianna. I probably would have forgotten to mention that. So I appreciate the heads up on that one.
Yeah, you bet.
Alrighty, I guess the silence speaks for itself. I hope that's a good thing. We will now jump into our connecting WeWalk section and actually talking about what you can do. And just so the sounds don't bother everyone, because I know that WeWalk is quite keen. It's just a simple case of turning your WeWalk on. Actually, I'll do it. Why not? That's WeWalk's on sound. Simply tapping connect WeWalk, and that sound, that ping sound, is it basically telling you that we're now connected and we're all good to go. And as you can hear, actually, that actually is WeWalk vibrating to let me know that I'm bringing it closer to my mic. So that's the obstacle detection. That's on, that's off. Then as it gets closer, and that's now vibrating. I can turn that off, so you can totally use WeWalk with the obstacle detection on or off under the preferences screen. And by the way, once you connect your WeWalk, the app changes ever so slightly to give you more options, basically. So if you don't have a WeWalk, you won't be inundated with like useless buttons. We'll only show you the WeWalk buttons once you have one. So you can turn off obstacle detection so it stops vibrating, as you can see. And in the preferences screen, you can actually set how sensitive WeWalk's obstacle detection is. So we used to work on a distance-based system where you can set detection from 80 centimeters to 165. But we've changed that now, so it's like low, mid, and high, just to simplify things a bit. Again, there's no real rule of thumb. When I'm outdoors, I tend to use high, and that's pretty good for me. It picks up my shoreline just well enough. It can pick up my low-hanging branches. But when I'm indoors, I just rely on O&M. I usually use my ID cane, or I simply use my O&M training with obstacle detection turned off. But some may want to have a bit of extra protection, so totally flexible. You can turn it on, turn it off, set your distances. And it's a single sensor with 2 tactile buttons. So it throws out, it's going to be pretty hard to imagine, but if you bear along with me, a 55-degree cone. So as you get farther away from your obstacle, and as you set the distance for detection at a higher rate, the taller the obstacle you can detect. So we've purposely made it that as you set your distance to be closer, we will stop picking up obstacles that are too high or too low. So if you're in an indoor space, you pick up less of the roof and the ceiling. But when you're outdoors and you've set it to a higher obstacle detection rate, then we would want to pick up sort of tree branches and signs. So we increase the height as well. So it's like a combination, if you'd like, of forward and up. And again, it's just something which we'd recommend playing around with. Each of our users has slightly different preferences based on how much vibration they want. So that's totally flexible. In the actual WeWalk home screen, now that you've connected your WeWalk, you'll get its current percentage, and you'll even have a button to find your cane if you've lost it. So I'm going to tap where is my WeWalk on my phone, and it'll actually ping my WeWalk device. So again, that's if you've lost your cane, you've got your phone on you. And if I was to jump back to the preferences screen, you can also set WeWalk sound level. You can mute WeWalk if you don't want it to make more noises. And it's totally flexible, so you can really choose what options you want. Now, the idea behind WeWalk and the app. So we have something called the voice menu. Now, the voice menu is a way to trigger the app when your phone is out of your hand. And it's a simple case of putting your phone down and double tapping WeWalk's touchpad.
Navigation.
So that's from the touchpad, that's from the speaker. And if I swipe left or right, and it's a bit hard to do this at this angle.
What's around me? Nearby stops. Obstacle detection. Find my phone.
So what I'm doing is swiping through everything I just showed you, except it's all done here. And if I lose my phone is out of my hand, and I double tap WeWalk's touchpad. Actually, my phone is on silent for this webinar, I just realized. That's probably not going to ring. Oh well. That's a very specific use case. If you're giving webinars, your WeWalk will not ring your phone if you have it on silent, just to let you know. But yep, you will be able to find your phone by doing that.
Sound level.
But the idea is,
on.
if I was to
Navigation.
swipe to navigation and double tap,
My saved location.
I can access my saved locations,
Saved location.
save the current location I'm on,
Where am I?
and find out where I am currently. So without having to look at my phone, get a quick snapshot. And if I double tap that,
74 Juniper Drive, Battersea, London, SW18, 1TZ, UK.
and that's where I am exactly. And once I'm done with the voice menu, I swipe away from me and towards the ground, which is what I'm doing.
Navigation. Menu has closed.
And that's the menu closed. And so everything that I've just talked through, basically, that you saw in the app, is fully controlled by WeWalk's touchpad. So if I swipe to navigation, for instance, if I swipe to nearby stops, double tap nearby stops, it'll read out to me everything on my screen one by one as if I was using VoiceOver. I would then swipe right or left to find out, okay, am I at the stop? Do I want to navigate to the stop? Can then double tap on the stop, find out what buses are coming and what's happening, and then get to it. And when I'm done, just simply swipe away and we're done. And that really is it from us. Again, I'd love to take any questions now and to sort of dive into the app if there are any specific queries or questions. But I really, really do hope that everyone watching is a little bit excited now that you've got the WeWalk app ready and downloaded. We'd love to hear your feedback. And that's really all from me.
Hi,
Thank
this
you
is Valerie.
so
Can
much.
you hear me?
Hi, Valerie. Go ahead. Do you have a
Hi.
question?
Yeah, I do have a question. My question is, what if some of your walking is off the street? For example, walking paths or through an open park. Is this going to be effective and help you with that?
So yes, that's why we've used the clock direction feature. So even if WeWalk doesn't detect a specific route, it'll bring up a route error. Don't get me wrong, like it'll always try to find a route. We wouldn't want to just send you through a field. But if it doesn't, and if a clear route doesn't come up, you can always use the clock direction, like it's almost like Blind Square does its destination tracking. You can totally just see how far the destination is away and the clock direction it is to you. And the low vision map will still also pull out a drawing of your position. It's like a little arrow actually, and where the destination is. And it'll read it out to you as well. Again, it really does vary on case by case. Sometimes WeWalk might try to pick up a route which isn't totally ideal, but that again, that's just something to do with mapping. We don't make our own maps. But it's something to definitely try, and we have tried to sort of solve that problem, if you'd like, with the clock directions.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hi, this is Chris again.
Hey, Chris.
I have played with the app. I've set a lot of different settings, and it's really nice. And the locations, like you said, and it named a lot of the restaurants and places that are by me, and it tells me how many feet they are. And it's like, wow, okay. So I have been playing with the app as you've been talking about it. So I'm very impressed with it.
I'm glad to hear, honestly. That really does make me so happy. And I know the team watching this. I mean, we're gonna, play this back, and it's great.
Do it. It's not, oh, you have to do this step and then that step. It's just click on this and hit OK and you're done.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
Thanks, Chris. That's honestly so nice to hear. Like that's made me really happy.
Yeah. Very, very, very easy and simple.
This is Douglas. I have a quick question. I don't know if you covered it, but when you install this on the cane, how much weight does it add? Is it heavy?
So it is heavier than your standard rubber handle. It's just about 300 grams with this, though it is balanced more heavier towards this end. So it's not perfectly balanced. Actually, I'm trying to hold it up right now to show you sort of where the weight point is. So the heaviest part of it is this aluminum grommet. It's basically this round shaft bit at the end. It's very important to get your cane length right. We have found with some users using canes that are too short or too long, there is a bit of wrist strain, just given the sort of shape of WeWalk. So we're totally happy to work with you on providing different cane sizes to make sure we can counteract some of the additional weight which might come up from the bottom shaft of it. But overall, it's something I'd say you would get used to after maybe potentially a few days. It's more the different shape than the weight, if that makes sense.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This is Brianna. Question about the indoor navigation that you guys are working on. That's super exciting. I know in this realm of navigation, indoor typically is what is lacking. So how exactly is that process working right now? I'm just curious how that would be possible indoors.
Of course. So our organization, our parent organization, a charity actually called, well, it's an NGO called the YGA, has had an indoor navigation project before where we covered 2 million square meters of spaces in Turkey. And we were just using your classic beacons. I mean, we were doing that, the beacon technique of, pretty good navigation. But we realized that we could do better. So what we're doing is we're taking that prior expertise from our Turkish project and collaborating with our UK organizations and our research partners. So the Imperial College collaboration is with the Center for Transport Studies. So they've done loads of work in indoor navigation, mixing signals from dead reckoning sensors, 5G, beacons, and even the IMU sensors we have built into WeWalk. So we have a gyroscope, compass, and accelerometer, which we have built into this device. The compass, which we use outdoors already for better navigation. That's another additional feature here. But because we have this platform which we control, because we have the prior beacons, and because we're working with our academic partners, we're hoping to mix beacons, dead reckoning, 5G from your mobile phone, and all the sensors built into WeWalk to have this complete platform. And I guess that's always been the challenge for indoor navigation, because in the past, different phone manufacturers use different GNSS receivers. They might not have the same compatibility. The sensors are always calibrated ever so slightly different. But we found ourselves in a pretty cool position here where, because we have control over hardware and software, and because of that great collaboration, we're going to be building it with that expertise from the ground up to hopefully essentially come to a system, as I'd mentioned previously, where you'd pick up your WeWalk, set your outdoor navigation as we just did, but you'd get into a shop and WeWalk would be sensitive enough and precise enough with our developments to tell you there's a shop to your left, the help desk is over there, there's a bin right in front of you. Like that level of depth we're really aiming for. And it's that level of depth which we need. I mean, transport operators here in the UK have always been looking for indoor navigation. But it's just not really been there because it lacked something we call integrity monitoring. So system availability, system resilience, just making sure the system is there. Because if the system fails when you're trying to navigate indoors and you've been relying on it, it's not good. So yeah, that's the vision, to provide the system with integrity, using the sensors we have inside WeWalk to make it even safer. And that's coming in 18 months, yeah. So that's when the project has to end. We're funded for 18 months. We've already hit the ground running, and it's just going to keep growing.
Wow, interesting. Do you guys have, this is Chris again, a brochure on this or information that can be sent to either snail mail or email?
So we can definitely send everything via email. And our website is, I know I keep saying we're currently overhauling it, but we are. So our website is also going a full overhaul. You have all the documents on there right now. So you can visit our website, www.wewalk.io. Full brochure, all the info, even the whole user guides are like totally available. So you can read through it, find out about everything I just talked about. I think we're also going to be uploading our how-to videos as well. So even if you don't have a WeWalk, you can check those out. But even with our website redesign, making things even easier to access, everything is just going to be there. So we're like an open book, basically. And if anyone has any direct questions, I mean, I'm not sure if I can add I'm not sure how to add my email actually. But Brianna, if you could
put that in the chat if you'd like.
Yeah, exactly. Please do.
Okay.
Let me see how to, you have my email actually, because I will.
Yeah, I can do that. We also have a question in our chat right now from
Mm.
Elena. She's asking, are there any transit updates coming? Because when we go into our Santa Barbara nearby stops, it says that it can't find anything.
Okay. So we use the system that Move It uses actually. We use Azure. So none of the transit stops are controlled by us. Again, it surprises us sometimes because they keep adding new cities. I think they're at 1,500 right now. Let us know if you do keep having problems. Again, drop me an email. You know, we're always curious at kind of poking the Microsoft team and going, by the way, guys, can you consider adding this, this city? And if they do, they do. And if they do have a roadmap for when they want to add it, then of course we can send that through to let you know. But yeah, so most places will work, some might not. And if they don't, just let us know and we can at least try to tell you when we think we can get you, or when Microsoft and Azure can get you that information.
Hey, Brianna, can you email me his email and the website? If this is Chris.
So I did put his email in the chat. It's his first and last. Well, is that your first name?
No, it's my first. Yeah, it's double bound.
JEANMARC @wewalk.io.
That's the one.
This one.